All right, you guys, podcast time. We got the equipment and the perfect business plan. Give our show away for free and tell no one how to find it. Ready?
Welcome to another episode of the Brand X Podcast, episode 41. I'm John. Joining me in studio, my co-host, Deuce.
Como esta, bitches?
And last week, Joe, I really felt bad. I mean, you were here with the Jimmy, and the Jimmy had what was it? It's like a lead-in or music, or what would we call that? When
his theme song?
Yeah, his theme song. And Joe didn't have one.
Yeah, I got to get one.
We're bringing Joey back.
Okay.
He's Deuce's brother, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
If you're in trouble, he's got your back.
Yeah.
The bitter Asian man, he will slap.
Yeah. Take him to the bridge.
His name is Joe. He's got gout in his big toe. Beer and steak is a big no-no. In the summer, crabbing he will go.
Take him to the chorus.
So there you go, Joe.
I love it. I think that's great.
So you were busy all week.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
You can't. I would rather edit a whole full podcast than to try to do that 46-second promo. Because, well, first of all, I can't sing. All right. And the fact of the matter is,
None of us here can, I think.
It makes it funnier because I can't sing.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to sync it up and then trying to, do the music and then do everything. I mean, there's like 45 takes of that. I wish there's like, it's.
So when you release the CD, there'll be like bonus tracks.
I should go back and just pull. I don't know if I do. I think I still have the full recording, but it's like, I'd sing something, I'd screw up a word, or me with my mush mouth, I'd mumble something, and it would be like, God, it's like screaming and yelling. It's probably funnier than the actual promo.
It's probably funnier just watching you do it.
Oh, doing it live. So anyhow, getting ready for Snowmageddon.
Yeah, we need that.
Last week, it was in the 70s. We were all like, oh, I love global warming. Global warming's the best. And then all of a sudden, this week, we're supposed to get now again, we could get anything from 0 to 18 inches of snow.
Right.
They're saying.
And that's why we're podcasting about.
Yeah, they keep widening the inches. At first, it was 6 to 8. Then it went 6 to 12. Now it's like 0 to 55.
To be honest with you, they just have no idea.
Yeah.
Here's the problem.
Well, that's the magic of weather.
Right. Here's the problem with here. Well, see, I think they have more of an idea up north because they can.
They know they're going to get it there.
They're really going to get it here. We're right where it's the low is going to come offshore, and it's going to come up. It's going to pump all kinds of moisture here. The problem is the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So if it goes a little further offshore, we're going to get pounded. If it stays a little closer to the shore, it will have rain first, so it's not that bad. But what happens now is they've been talking about this storm for like a week. It's like, oh, it's coming. Oh, here we go. Oh, we're going to, everybody run to the store. Did you even try to go to the store this weekend?
Well, I went today figuring with everybody off that it would be pretty well empty, but it wasn't. I only went in there to get lunch meat for my lunches for the next 2 days of work. And everybody was in there buying milk and bread for all those milk sandwiches they're going to live on for the next 2 days.
You know when I go to the store?
Never.
No, you know when I go to the store? When it starts snowing. There's nobody in there. Store's
I'm
empty.
sure the store employees love you. There's assholes coming in here now.
Fuck them.
We were going to leave early, but we got some jackass.
I'm here.
Some jackass middle-aged white guy in here, and he's running around in the lunch meat area.
That's right. You're all working.
And that's why we're podcasting about 9 hours earlier than normal today, because I may have to go to work early tonight and sleep over, which sucks.
Right.
And they already gave us the heads up, like, oh, you might want to be. So I knew that was coming when they, because we have to be there. We're important.
Impotent.
Right. And I would rather not sleep there, of course, but they won't. You're not leaving once you're there. It's like the Hotel
stay.
California.
You can't
you can check out anytime you want. You just can't leave. So
yeah, so we're going to go with that. I have a feeling this time. I have a feeling in my bones. My bones are telling me that this is going to be a biggie. Now, by the time you hear this podcast, it'll basically be over because we record on Monday, and then I usually get it out by Friday or sooner.
Well, if I sleep over, then you won't be.
Yeah, I won't be able.
You won't be getting the artwork till Thursday.
I might just have the Brand X logo.
No, you won't. I'm doing the goddamn artwork. That's what I'm here for. Oh,
Okay.
No, you won't.
That's
No,
right.
you won't.
That's right. You ain't getting none fucking done.
I was going to say, I'll just put that like in a big giant Blizzard thing and put the Brand X.
No, I got until Friday. I'm off Thursday, so I can do it.
All right, guys. So the reason you're not going to get this podcast earlier is because it deuce.
Yeah.
Unless it's not that bad, and then you'll be able to get home.
Yeah.
And
I hope I will be able to go home. Now, of course, I work with a lot of guys that they live for this stuff. Ooh, we're going to stay overnight because
we're going to make s'mores,
Yeah.
and we're going to have cocoa.
Well, basically, it's because a lot of them are on the brink of bankruptcy.
Well, okay.
Because they live beyond their means and they're totally dependent on weather overtime.
Now, what
get
happens
ahead.
as far as food? Do they bring food in?
They will feed us. Okay, they have. There's a cafeterias there, and they did last year. They did. I had to sleep there 2 nights in a row last year, and that really sucked.
Okay.
First of all, I'd rather sleep at home, and I will make it back and forth.
Everyone. Joe brought his lunch with him. Joe brought a bag lunch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that doesn't transmute over the air.
I think it's that seat. Last time Jimmy was here, he was the whole time.
Yeah, there's no cone of silence over that chair.
I'm doing the podcast, right? And the whole time he's like bent over and he's got them big sausage fingers and he's trying to figure out how to change a story on Trello. Finally, he gave up.
Yeah.
He just couldn't figure out how to turn it off or turn it on or whatever.
Just went,
All right. And then he's got the phone. It was like the whole Jimmy show over there.
Yeah, he had all kinds of shit going on.
It was like out of the corner of my eye. He was the most distracting thing. And then when he did say something, he had his head. Yeah, he's like,
way over here.
Okay, wait. Get on that mic. Nothing puts the hairs up on the back of my neck than someone talking off a mic.
Now, what you were saying, the wise people at work, like myself, I went and I bought some snacks to have. You bring a little extra food, and you always have an emergency overnight bag in your car.
Well, you do because you're prepared.
Well,
for
no,
it.
most of the people. Well, yeah, I was a Boy Scout. Be prepared.
I was a Boy Scout too. Didn't really take with me.
Yeah. So you're not prepared for shit.
Listen,
Yeah.
I figured this. We were talking before we turned the mics on. I said, bachelor preparedness for this it may be 2 days. Let's say if we go crazy, 2 days. So what I'm going to do.
And actually, the city it affects more in Philadelphia because there's nowhere to push the snow.
Right.
There are narrow streets.
All right. Well, I'm going to get back to my story.
Go ahead, I'll let you.
Thank you. I'm going to call up. I'm going to order 2 large Italian hoagies, no dry, nothing on them, and a pizza. That'll last me for 3 days, 3 or 4 days. There you go.
That'll work.
That's it.
Suppose you lose power. Do you have an electric stove
For what?
to heat the pizza?
I could eat that cold.
I could eat pizza. Yeah.
I wouldn't even.
love
I
pizza.
probably wouldn't even heat it.
Just saying.
Even if I had electricity.
Because you
I'd
said
probably-
if you lose electricity.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest thing. If you lose electricity, it's going to suck.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you get an electric stove. I don't know if you do or not.
Yeah, but see, the thing is now that even if you do have a gas stove, there's no pilot light. Everything is with the electric
there's
clicker.
static
You don't have matches?
Listen, I lost.
Aha!
Well, I'm just going to tell you right now.
Aha! You don't
lost-
have a cigarette lighter or matches in this house, do you?
I do. But
Well,
there's
there
nothing.
you go.
There's nothing for. You'd have to get down there and light the oven. And last time I lost eyebrows, half my hair, and a little bit of my beard trying to light a grill at a 4-H fair.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened was they go, go in there and light it was a flat top like you'd make hamburgers. It was a flat top.
Like a griddle?
Yeah, like a griddle. And it had like 6 knobs, and they're like, go in there and light it. So I'm like, okay. So I tried turning it, and the same thing. You got to turn it, light the pilot. Pilot won't light. I'm turning this knob, that knob, and everything. I don't understand what's going on. I didn't realize this. Another guy goes out and says, they turned the propane off. He turns the propane on.
It starts rushing out.
So I have the thing as I'm trying to light the pilot, and I hear it coming. I hear shh.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, as you're looking in, you see the little bit of fire, and you see it coming. I'm like, oh my God. I do I just dive backwards, and as this big ball of fire comes out of this thing.
All blue flame.
Orange.
Yeah, big orange ball flame comes out of there. It gets my beard, my mustache, takes off my eyebrows and my eyelids, and you can hear your hair, like you can hear it burning.
Then you get that nasty burning hair smell.
Terrible burning hair smell.
It smells like you're burning a tick with a magnifying lens.
Exactly. So then they sent me to the hospital because I actually did. I got first like sunburn.
Right.
That's how it was, like a big giant flash. Although, thank goodness, I bailed, because if I would just sat there and went and just like froze.
So if you didn't, luckily you didn't go, ooh, pretty.
Yeah. Basically, what I did was I did the thing where Neo does on the roof of the Matrix when the guy starts shooting at him and he goes backwards. You know, he just throws himself backwards. That's what I did. Yeah. Everything I did was in slow motion, but basically I threw myself back. And yes, I do have a lighter, but I'm not going to be lighting any. Well, maybe the stove top.
Yeah, I was going to say you can heat up soup or something.
I don't have soup.
Yeah, well, maybe you can heat up Oreos. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't have to heat it.
I'd actually like to see the Matrix thing where, like, you know how they do it in the movie where it's like slow and you're kind of like the camera rotates around you in 3 dimensions.
Yes,
and you
rotoscoping.
see the fireball coming. Like, that would look cool.
That would kind of look cool. You know, nowadays everybody has everything on. Everybody has a camera rolling on everything because you have the phone now. The phone is My iPhone now has a better camera than any camera I've ever owned.
Right.
Yeah, well, you probably stopped buying cameras when they had film in them.
Yeah, right.
Although cameras still, well, I don't know. I don't know up until a few years ago, film cameras, if you were using like 100 speed film, they still reproduce the best because there's no pixels. Eventually, but they keep reducing the amount of pixels, so it is getting better and better.
It's amazing.
A buddy of mine, he shoots film and he sells his work to magazines.
They still use film?
Well, it depends on what they're shooting. Like sports photography, it's not going to matter. But if you're doing something like landscapes or arts, from what he told me, slide film, a real slow slide film, shutter speed still reproduces the best, has the most clarity. That's like what National Geographic used to use. And
well, I got to tell you,
if you're shooting action, it's not going to matter.
You know who's going to notice? No one, except for the 5 or 6 people that are really film geeks.
No, because you can enlarge it and you. I don't know. I'm 7 or 8 years after having this discussion. There was only a finite amount that you could enlarge an electronic pixelated camera like an iPhone or modern cameras. Film, you can keep blowing it up.
Keep blowing up. Okay.
Like in High Anxiety when Mel Brooks is on the elevator and like they keep enlarging the picture, and you see him like.
Well, I have I'm in a couple of groups with just audio editors. Mm-hmm. And listen, we're doing just a basic podcast. We're just talking. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, this podcast is in mono. It's not in stereo. It's not. No, if I wouldn't have told you, you wouldn't have known.
No, I knew.
There's just a bunch of people out there that they want to make this big giant production because like they have like a little music in the beginning, and then I have music in my podcast. Well, what do you mean? You mean the opening and the closing? Yeah. So that has to be like I want to be able for people to hear that and all. And I'm like, whatever. All right, knock yourself out
for 30 seconds.
If you want to do that, if you want to blow up, because if you go to download this podcast on your podcatcher. It goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it loads.
Right.
Okay. You get one of these guys
with dual channels or whatever. Yeah.
It takes forever to load, and it takes so much room up on your phone. So I'm just like, okay, guys. Again, do what you want to do in podcasting. You can do whatever you want to do.
Whatever flips your skirt.
I've listened to podcasts, and the audio quality's not that great. And then what I do, is I'll check it out, and it's in stereo, and I'm like, wow. You know what? They took this show and it sounds like shit, and they really made it sound. It's like they really intensified the shit sound.
So in other words, you're already
it's shit sound in stereo. But yeah, do whatever you want. It's fine.
It's good.
There's a show. It's called "What Are These Podcasts? Who Are These Podcasts?" Give me a second. I hate when I do this. I'm going to give them a proper plug because I'm
say that one more time.
Probably going to trash them a little bit. Not trash them, but. Talk about them a little bit.
Now, see, this is why you're always in trouble on social media.
All right, I got in trouble again.
Okay.
I got in trouble again.
I think there comes a point where you have to cut your losses and say, you know what, I'm canceling my Twitter account. I'm getting off Facebook.
No, that's bullshit. I'm going to still continue to be on Twitter.
Still continue to be in trouble.
Yeah, why not? Who are these podcasts?
He's
All
like
right.
that one drunk patron at the bar. They just got to keep throwing him out.
That's me. So the podcast is called Who Are These Podcasts? And what they do is they go in and they critique bad podcasts. Like, you know, when we take a podcast, like when we did Crime and Cocktails, because they gave all those, they went on.
Yeah,
iTunes.
well, that was outrageous what they did.
Right. So what these guys do is they go and they grab a podcast and they critique it. But then I thought to myself, could they live up to someone else critiquing
Stand
it?
up to the scrutiny, I believe is the word that you're trying to.
Thank you. Thank goodness you're here. This is why I don't do a regular podcast. It'd just be a bunch of stuttering and hand waving.
Signals.
And this is a visual medium, as Jimmy tried to do last week.
Yeah.
Both of us, we're both doing the same thing. Hand talking, hand gestures.
A couple of referees.
So it's Kevin and Carl, and one of them's, they do it remotely like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
And they use Skype, which is horrible. I mean, the problem with Skype is when you talk and I talk, or if you try to talk over each other, Skype picks one channel and records that, and the other person you can't hear.
Just drops off.
It just drops off. And then the one guy, it sounds like the one guy has a really good voice, and I think he's the one that records it because it sounds better. The other guy is like, it's all hollow. His audio is very hollow. It sounds like he's doing it in a ceramic bathroom with marble countertops and everything, with a
sound is bouncing all over.
It sounds like, he's like in a great big giant hall. And not that you can't fix that. And I do like the show because, to be honest with you, the shows that they pick on really kind of, I don't say deserve it, but I mean, you know, they're not wrong. The critique they give is not wrong. So the one that they did do, which was just a week, I think it was last episode or the episode before, was a podcast that I think stopped podcasting in like 2014. And it was back when the technology wasn't as good as it is right now.
All right.
So, you know, I kind of think they got the raw deal. The podcast got the raw deal, but it was hysterical because it was a woman who was trying to be the host, and then she had a co-host. Hostess. Well, I don't want to be gender specific.
Fuck them.
It's like, you know, waiter.
That's the magic of English. That's why, you know, a lot of people just haven't mastered English, and I think that's where a lot of that angst comes from. But go ahead.
So
the hostess.
So she was trying to keep the show going, and then the co-host was just an antagonist. Like everything she said, he just would like cut her down.
Oh, so she was doing it with the bitter Asian man.
She was. Yeah, he might have been the bitter. Yeah.
Damn, he might have been there.
He was the bitter Caucasian man. Oh, he sounded Caucasian. Anyhow, I don't know, but it's a pretty good show. I listen to it. I like it. I'm going to start work. I'm going to see if I can work with the guys a little bit and see if we can clean up their audio a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then it'll be a good show. But the funny thing is, if you go to Who Are These Podcasts and you go to their iTunes and check out their reviews, they get a lot of 1-star reviews from people that are mad. Because they don't ask. They don't say, oh, by the way, can I review your podcast?
Yeah.
They just grab a podcast and start reviewing it. I got to say, it takes balls to do something like that.
It's like plugging in the Yelp, you know, just
start
go trashing anyone.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing about Yelp is, you know, you're having a bad day or something, and then the next thing you know, you trash a business, and then they really don't have much recourse.
Yeah, we mentioned this before. Like actually, now you have those services that do your internet presence clean. Like if you're on Google, they'll squash all the negative reviews, or if you had an angry ex-employee or you know, or a bad review, whatever. Because now because as you know, I went on the internet a couple of weeks ago and trashed a Chevy dealership.
Did we talk about that?
I don't think we did it on the podcast. We may have. Maybe it got cut out. It hasn't gone out over the air. So,
oh, okay.
You know, I know that. But,
I know you got upset about you went in for an oil change.
Yeah, I went into I needed an oil change, and one of my fog lights was burned out. I was going to do it myself, but then you know how these cars are put together nowadays. It's pretty involved. So I was like, you know what, I'll just let them do it. And immediately they put the full court press on me, like, oh, you know what, we were looking here, and you've got a gasket leak, and your manifold is leaking. And it wasn't true, you know, not at all. And they treat you like you're a dummy,
right? And
so I didn't say anything there, and but then I went back and they said, oh, well, we rotated your. I says, well, yeah, I didn't ask you to rotate the tires because you put the worst tires on the wrong end of the car. That's, you know, oh, we've always been doing that. No, you haven't. No, we do it every time. No, you haven't. And of course, this girl is hiding behind her computer monitor. I don't know what she's looking at because I've been going to this car dealership forever. So I just left, and then I went home and dug out all my receipts, and lo and behold,
Wrong guy to act.
Yeah, they never ever did that, and that was very insulting because I'm a car nut.
Right.
So I put the air in my tires. I detail my car. I'm pretty much aware where the better tires are at, and they're just going to stand there and like lie. So I just went and wrote a review and everything, and they called me up the next day to try to make it all better. And, oh, come back. We'll do this. No, I'm not coming back. I didn't write that up there to try to get something for free. I went out there to destroy you.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do.
I smite you.
Yeah. I'll pox on thee. So I was, but it was just like, I told the guy, quite honestly, now I know why women don't like to go to car dealerships because I felt like a chick. Yeah, you were like treat me like I was an idiot, like I didn't know. I have a car lift. I put my car. First thing I did, I had to bring all the other cars off the lift, put my Impala on the lift. There's no leak here. There's a one small spot that's not a leak. The car does have 125,000 goddamn miles on it, doesn't it? I was like, come on, it's not going to be pristine under there. So it was just a whole thing. But now they have these services that protect these businesses, or
so did they squash your review?
I don't know. I don't know if they did or not.
I have to go back and check.
I do know that, if a company wanted to, let's say you post something on Yelp, you better be able to back it up because
they'll come after you.
They can, and there has been some lawsuits where the business actually came out ahead on it because it was just somebody.
Well, I mean, you should give them an honest review.
Well, sure.
Listen,
absolutely.
If they short you something, I think first of all, I'm not saying anything about the way you did it, but I'm going to say something about the way you did it.
Yeah, whenever you preface things by that.
Yeah, everything before the but is bullshit.
Right.
So I would have called the manager. Well, I would have made a scene.
I know you would have.
Because that's what I do. All right, I would have made a scene. I would have called the manager out, and I would have said, listen, and I would have rolled it all out and said, if you need me to, I will go home and get chapter and verse and my receipts, and I will come back here, and I will rain down on you because in furious anger. That's right. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, you who took to the Twitter at the ShopRite in the crowded parking lot.
Yes.
That's what you would have done.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. That's not what you did.
Well, no, I yelled. You make it sound like that's the only thing I did.
No, you said that you would do it like you would confront the manager. You didn't. You went on the Twitter.
Well, I confronted the people in the parking lot. You're talking about the people that were holding up the two rent-a-cops that were holding up the traffic. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I yelled at them. I didn't go, you're right. The reason I didn't go in was because they had their parking lot so screwed up, it would have took me a long time to park and everything. Right. If I was already in there and talking to the girl.
But, it's like, I'm not going to.
Again, I'm not saying you should do what you want. I mean, I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying what I would have done. Yeah.
Because when they're standing, there's nothing I hate more when someone is there and they're hiding behind the computer and she's like, well, it says right here, and I have nothing. Well, I have every invoice and every receipt from everything that I have on my cars. So, I mean, I had them fanned out on my desk and,
Well, Mr. Deuce, I'm looking right here.
Yeah.
And it says that we rotate your tires every time.
Yeah, it wasn't there. I was like, but this guy, he was like, he says, well, you said you've been here, you've been coming here for years. You bring both of your cars here. Yeah, well, that ain't happening no more. So, that's done. That ship's sailed. It's not like there's only one Chevrolet dealership around here.
Why do you bring your car to a dealership to do the oil changes? I mean,
because I have a GM card and you get some bonus miles points, you get some offers. So.
Okay, all right, I got you. All right, I didn't know that. I mean, it's just more expensive when you go there.
No, not for an oil change.
No,
not really.
What's the oil change?
Well, I use Mobil 1 synthetic oil, so that's that's why my cars last forever.
It's $80. It's an $80 oil change.
Well, I don't know where you're getting Mobil 1 synthetic oil at, but it's costing me about $50.
To do the oil change?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And they're disposing of the oil, so that's a pain in the ass. Back in the old days, we used to just dump it down the sewer, but now they frown on that.
Damn fish.
Yeah. Well, we used to dump everything down the sewer. People used to throw paint down there, turpentine, oil. It all went down in the sewer.
It's not here anymore. We don't really care where it went.
Yeah, so I was like, it's gone.
It's gone.
Poof,
Next thing you know, every fish Every fish in the lake is floating.
Well, every sewage processing plant, they have a retention pond, retention point that they pull all that stuff out, so it goes away.
I got to,
they just try to gild everybody into the stupid animals.
I got to tell you a story. It's not about a man named Jed. We're going to go off script here because you just reminded me. Back when I was an elevator mechanic, one of the places we used to take care of was the Camden City sewage plant.
Mm-hmm. All part of the CCMUA.
That's right. It was a treatment plant. So they call and they say, "Hey, can you get down here?" And I go, "Okay, yeah." They said we had an accident, and I'm like, "You mean with a person?" And they go, "No, it's just an accident in the plant." I was like, "All right." So I get down there and I walk down, and usually the place is filthy. It's just a filthy, foul,
it's a shitty place.
Shitty place, exactly. So as I go in and as I walk, I just noticed everything was clean and it was right smelling. It was kind of little citrusy. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, what the heck's going on? So then I'm going down. I open up the door to go down to where the machine room is. And as soon as you open up the door, it was like someone squeezed lemons in your face. It was like really citrusy.
Mr. Clean.
Yeah, I go down the steps and the steps are all clean and the hallway's clean and the walls are clean and everything's just, it looked like it was just painted. I go downstairs and I go through the whole thing. And I said to the guy, "What happened?" He goes, "Well, we lost a valve." And I go, "Okay." And he goes, "And where you're standing, 12 feet high, was nothing but raw sewage."
Nice.
Sewage. I'm like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." So then I go into the room where the elevator is, and that is completely clean. Everything's clean and all. Well, what they did was, after they pumped out all the raw sewage, they went in with fire hoses and
jetted everything off,
including the controller.
Yeah, because that's an incredible amount of pressure coming out of a fire hose.
Right. They opened up the controller and sprayed it all over the electrical.
Well, what about the elevator shit? Everything must have went down there.
Slow down, I'm getting there. Let me paint the picture. So what happened was the alarm went off. So instead of the guy going to run down the steps to see what happened, he grabs the elevator from the 3rd floor.
Oh.
So he runs down. And of course, what happened was he went to 2nd floor and then go down to the 1st floor. It just seemed like it was taking a long, long time. Well, when those doors opened up, all that shit come running in the elevator.
Wow. You would think it would start seeping in under the door first.
Well,
before the door.
It did. It started seeping in, so he didn't know what to do. So he first hit the stop button. It stopped.
Up.
Right? So he started to hit the up button. That's not working. The doors open up, and it was just like, whoosh, it all comes in. And he goes wading. He's got to wade out. He said there was he was like keeping his head up. Ugh. He thought he was going to have to start swimming. It was all raw sewage.
He probably had to go to the hospital and get shots and stuff.
I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah. I mean, medically, they would have to protect the hell out of that guy.
There should be a lot of vomiting involved.
So the guy says to me, "How much to fix the elevator? Or how long before I can get this running?" So I go, "All right, let me get this straight. You came in here with a fire hose, right? And fire hosed everything? The control open? Oh, yeah, we opened it up. We sprayed it all down. It's all clean."
Sounds to me like you're getting a new car.
Yeah, I said, "Well, that controller is now garbage. That's garbage. All the wires are garbage. They're all wet." I said, "The car came down into it?" He goes, "Yeah." So I said, so I open up the door and I look in there. There's like a stain about 5 foot up. I go, "This is all trash." We ended up having to put a whole brand new. The only thing that stayed was the
cables.
No, it was a hydraulic. Was the piston that goes into the ground?
Okay.
So that stayed, and then everything else, we just put in a brand new elevator, brand new controller, brand new. It just was just like everything had to go out. Everything had to go from the basement floor. Anything that was on the basement floor had to go. Yeah. All the door equipment had to go. It was hysterical. So the guy's like, "Well, why does it?" I said, "Did you ever take your phone and drop it into a glass of water? What happens to it?" I said, "Do you want me to pack this thing in rice? And then if something decides to go bad and you get stuck in it or something, the safety circuit don't work or who knows, I have no idea if something
what you
starts.
Did, yeah.
If something goes bad in like a week or a month. I only have 2 balls and neither one of them are crystal. Mm-hmm. So I have no way of predicting what's going to happen here." So, they were upset because they used to have to take these big giant drums in and out of there, and it was the only elevator.
They got to hump them up and down the flight of steps.
Had to hump them up and down the steps. It was horrible. Ooh. They were giving us, and then our guys was like, "Okay, who's going to go in there and fix the shitty elevator?" So we had to go. What we did was we hoisted the car up in the air and then had to go into the pit, which was still full of shit.
Oh, they never got the pit.
They couldn't get to it. It was all
because the cart was there.
The car was there.
Okay.
So they had to pump that out. They had to spray that all down. They had to go in there and disinfect all that. It was horrible.
That's quite a shitty job.
We made a ton of money on it, though.
Yeah, sure. Money's good.
Hey, the shitty jobs are the ones that pay.
Okay.
Because I don't intend to go through that hell again.
Absolutely. You better believe that. All right. You want to get into some stories here? Drunk man threatens handicapped man, pregnant woman, and masturbates in public. Or as the Jimmy says, that's just a Saturday night. I'm just kidding. I'm only picking on the Jimmy. I miss the Jimmy.
It's the Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't have anybody in here to fixate because he's not paying attention.
A judge branded a man the nuisance of Bridgewater after he drank 2 liters of martinis and went on a spree of vile behavior. Homeless Nigel Walford. Nigel? Who the hell names their kid Nigel?
It's over in
England?
England? Yeah,
Okay, better be. Nigel. Challenged a disabled man to a fight, started masturbating, then threatened to cut up a pregnant woman while holding a broken bottle. One of his victims described him as angry to the point of being psychotic. Walford appeared in the dock in custody and asked for God's forgiveness. A judge told the 55-year-old he was too old to be behaving that badly.
They're so polite over there. You know what I mean? It's just the politeness. It cracks me up. That one went over. We'll talk about the next story here, but go ahead.
He admitted one charge of indecent exposure and another of common assault. The court heard he was staggering around Bridgewater town center. The defendant was outside a bar and behaving in an appalling manner. He was shouting obscenities and targeted a man in a wheelchair. Wow, brave guy. Right. He shouted at him, "You C word that Joe won't use. You
W word." Now, I don't understand what the W word would be. Would that be wanker?
Wanker is the only thing I can think of.
Okay, and then you B word.
Bitch, I guess.
Or bastard.
You.
Come fight me.
Yeah, come fight me. As the victim moved away, Walford continued to hurl abuse at him before reaching into his trousers and beginning to masturbate. Yeah. He then shouted abuse at a pregnant woman because, they're always...
No, see, that's where I can't take the threat seriously anymore,
Well, once he pulls out his dick and starts
beating he's yelling at you and he's whacking away while he's doing it. I just, right, dude.
What does it take for a British man to lose his composure and his manners? Yeah. Apparently 2 liters
of martini.
He was holding a broken bottle as he told her, "I'm going to cut you up." She described Walford as being angry to the point of being psychotic when she was interviewed by police. As Mr. Goodman described the assault on the pregnant woman, Walford became emotional in the dock, wiping at his eyes as he blinked away tears. Emma Martin, defending, said Walford had been in prison since his arrest and was finding it very difficult and distressing. He is very sorry for this whole incident, she said. When he discovered the woman was pregnant, he just broke down in tears. He wants the court to know he wouldn't have hurt her, but he knows his behavior must have been terrifying.
He's blackout drunk. How does he know what he would have done? He has no idea.
After hearing that Walford had been in custody since October, Judge David Ticehurst handed him an 18-month conditional discharge and let him walk from the court. The judge told Walford, "You're too old to be doing this, too old to be locked up in prison, and too old to be staggering around drunk," he said. "Live out the rest of your life positively. Do something different other than being the nuisance of Bridgewater." Wow, he gets a title. Ladies and gentlemen, the nuisance of Bridgewater.
And he comes out whacking away.
"I don't want to see you up before me again." An emotional Walford replied, "I'm sorry. I'm up before you, sir. May God forgive me."
Yeah, God's going to forgive you, but not the court. Have you ever been blackout drunk like this?
No.
Never
lost control.
No, I've never. Well, I'm not saying I've never lost control, but I've never been blackout drunk where someone had to tell me
what you did,
what I did.
Oh, actually, yeah. The first time I ever got drunk, I barely remember it.
Okay.
I understand I was quite a show, though.
I remember the point up until I passed out and had to be rolled out onto the front lawn of someone's house so I didn't throw up all over the house. So I don't remember that period. I do remember the vomiting part.
I used to date a girl that she would say, I'm not drunk. And the only way she knew she was drunk is when she got blackout drunk, where she would just, she wouldn't remember the next day what was going on.
Right.
That was fun.
The closest I've had to an out-of-body experience, like I said, is tequila. That just frightens the shit out of me.
That is true.
Because that was like I didn't feel like I was in control or I could lose. I was in control, but I felt that I could another shot or so, and I could lose it.
Right.
But like I said, it was like an out-of-body experience. It was like I was watching myself from across the room, and it was not a feeling I liked at all. I was just like,
Wasn't that a result of a beating from mom, that one?
No, that
Which
was...
one was he?
A beating from your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I showed up home drunk.
Oh.
Yeah, when I was like 16 or 17 years old.
It was a beating.
Underage drinking. So.
Oops. Yeah.
But no, the tequila incident, I went to a bachelor party, and I was living in Cherry Hill then. So, and I just didn't like it. I did not like it at all. It was weird.
Well, it's been documented on this show here where tequila made me forget how to drive a stick shift.
Yeah.
Couldn't figure out.
You're lucky you didn't hit the house.
I couldn't get it into second gear. I couldn't hit the clutch. I kept hitting the brake. It was horrible.
I had to drive home in reverse one time, but
I did that, but that was only because the transmission broke on the car.
yeah, well, mine froze up.
I know somebody that drove 2 cars home because the driver of the other car was drunk.
How does that work?
Well, he said it was the longest 3-mile drive he ever took, and basically the one guy just got a brand new car and he wasn't leaving it behind and all that, but and no one was going to call a taxi because that was gay. So basically what he did is he drove one car down the road like 200 yards and then waltzed back, got in the other car, and then leapfrogged the front of that.
You got
200
be
yards.
Kidding me.
And they said it took a couple of hours, but he got both cars home.
Yeah, I've never been that blackout drunk, but I've been around people that.
That's not fun.
No, it's not fun.
Especially when they get you in fights.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true.
Because some guy just can't. And the guys that are like that, they always wisely, well, there's 3 of us and 9 guys over there. Let me pick a fight with them. So you're praying that the bouncers are going to get to where you're at in time just to like keep you from
getting an ass kicking.
That's no fun.
The next story I want to talk to is like, okay, so that's the court system over in
jolly old England,
right?
Or the UK.
In the UK, this one here, Kentucky man who scalps ex-girlfriend tells judge, I don't need a lecture.
Okay, a man in Kentucky convicted of assault for scalping his ex-girlfriend and ordering his pit bull to attack her told off a judge Wednesday, saying he could take his sentence without all the extra talk. And then here's a shitload of commercials here, and it says, I'm not asking for your mercy, just give me the 20. I don't need a lecture, 31-year-old Zachary Gross said.
I got to tell you, that's pretty ballsy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you figure you're going in for 20. What's another 5 or 6?
Yeah, well, I guess he's trying to assert how much of a badass he is since he's going to be introduced to the joys of anal sex in prison for the next 20 years. So the judge actually sends him to 21 years in the slammer.
See,
Fox 19 reported, it's an extra year of anal sex for him.
There you go.
The evidence showed that both Gross and his dog attacked his ex, Marilyn Stanley, in September 2015, prosecutors argued. After she refused to drop a knife she was holding in self-defense, his pit bull ripped off part of her ear and scalp. Afterwards, he forced her to look in a mirror. Oh, wow, this
guy's a real charmer.
This guy's in a real dark place, man. Afterwards, he forced her to look in a mirror inside his home in Walton, making fun of her appearance, investigators added. They said he eventually dropped her off at her mother's home with part of her scalp in a plastic bag. Stanley spoke out after the attack, saying he was angry over one of her Facebook posts.
See?
Now, those are grounds.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Social media. Told you.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy's totally in right to do this, Goddamn Facebook did it.
Damn Facebook posts get you every time. Get you in trouble.
It was shocking. I didn't expect it, she told the news station. Yeah, well, no one expects... No one expects the Spanish Inquisition either, though. But
I gotta understand what does it say in here? What she put on Facebook that actually made him attack her?
No, let's see. Stanley said she needed a half dozen surgeries and suffered permanent nerve damage. A trauma surgeon testified at Gross's trial that cuts to her head were consistent with the use of a sharp knife.
Good God.
Walton is about 20 miles southwest of Cincinnati, so this happened in Ohio.
Oh, my God. I just can't imagine being so mad at somebody. First of all, that I would send my dog after her and then try to scalp her.
That is picture. It doesn't look like every guy that ever started a fight in a bar to you.
Yes.
He just has that, I'm an asshole look.
Well, oh, yeah. Well, he's got the wife beater T-shirt on.
He's an asshole.
To be quite honest with you, this is why women should be able to carry a gun.
Mm-hmm.
She could have shot the dog and then shot him too.
Well, everybody should be able to, if you're a law-abiding citizen.
Here's one for your dog.
Wow.
And then
So she's carrying a shotgun, not a hand. So she has to walk around with a shotgun.
All right. I'm sorry. Here we go. Is that better? That's better. And for your dog, too.
The magic of firearms. A shotgun. What, she like Ash and Dead by Dawn? Like,
I don't know. That's your
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Oh, you never saw Evil Dead?
Yeah, I told you I don't watch those kind of movies.
Amateur.
Oh,
It's a comedy.
It's like a
Evil Dead's a comedy?
Yeah, it's like a comedy kind of.
It's funny.
Oh, okay.
He still won't watch it.
Probably not.
He'll give that a big miss.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I just never, I mean, well, listen, this guy deserves to be where he's going. And one can only hope that your predictions for his next 20 years will be.
It's like Homer said to Krusty the Clown, and I hope all the terrible stories I heard about prison are not true. When Krusty got framed by Sideshow Bob.
That's right.
I hope all that's one of the early episodes of The Simpsons, so that's like 27 years old.
I know. I mean,
how
long has The Simpsons been on now? How many years?
Since 1980. Well, as their own show, I think 89 is when they debuted. 89 or 90.
Wow. It's going to be 30 years. 2 years, it'll be 30 years.
Yeah, it's the longest running show in history.
That's amazing.
It's like they had to reboot it a couple of times because it's been on the air so long.
All right. So, okay, here's our next story. Miami lawyer pants erupts in fire during arson trial in court.
Liar, pants on fire.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
He's a lawyer.
Listen, if that's true, then every lawyer, as soon as they walked in, their pants would just like burst into flames.
A Miami defense lawyer's pants burst into flames Wednesday afternoon as he began his closing arguments in front of a jury in an arson case.
Isn't that kind of ironic, don't you think, a little bit? I thought to myself, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, actually, that's... Well, I guess it could be. Stephen Gutierrez.
He was going to correct me again. I think I was on the fringe of saying something wrong, but go ahead.
No. Stephen Gutierrez, who was arguing that his client's car spontaneously combusted and was not intentionally set on fire, had been fiddling in his pocket as he was about to address jurors when smoke began billowing out his right pocket. He rushed out of the Miami courtroom, leaving spectators stunned. After jurors were ushered out, Gutierrez returned unharmed with a singed pocket and insisted it was a staged defense demonstrating it wasn't a staged defense demonstration gone wrong. Instead, Gutierrez blamed a faulty battery and an e-cigarette. It was surreal.
So he was vaping? It was his vape cigarette?
I guess that's what he had, allegedly. That's what he said he had. Repeated calls to Gutierrez's cell phone went unanswered. Miami-Dade police and once again Florida, Miami-Dade police and prosecutors are now investigating the episode. Officers seized several frayed e-cigarette batteries as evidence.
Several? So maybe he tried to overload this? I have a feeling that, since he was trying to say that the car just, spontaneously combusted, that, it could happen to anybody anywhere. I think he tried to put that in the juror's mind that, at any time something could just burst into flames.
Well, they're probably looking at this as an attempt at arson. I guess that's why the police seized the batteries.
Yeah,
because you're in a courtroom.
Yeah,
you're in a government building.
So now he'll be in trouble.
Yeah, possibly. Gutierrez was representing Claudie Charles.
Claudie Charles. What the hell kind of name is that?
Well, it's Florida. 48, who is accused of intentionally setting his car on fire in South Miami-Dade. He had just started his closing arguments when the fire broke out. Jurors convicted Charles anyway of second-degree arson.
Okay.
Miami-Dade Circuit Judge Michael Hansman in the coming days could decide to hold Gutierrez in contempt of court. The 28-year-old lawyer graduated from Florida International University's law school in 2015. With millions of users across the country, e-cigarettes deliver vaporized nicotine through a heated liquid solution, but questions about the health, that's a non sequitur. Why did they even throw that in here? Okay, we don't need
I just wanted to say that vaping is bad for you.
Well, it has something to do with the fact that he tried to, that his pants burst. He looks like Baba Booey.
He does look a little bit like Baba Booey.
Like back in the day.
Although Baba Booey now, his teeth are even bigger.
Well, he doesn't have the mustache anymore, Baba Booey.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but he's getting that draw.
He's had that Hall & Oates look back in the day.
Well, he's getting his face is starting to draw in. When people get older, he's starting to get that. Well, now it's making his teeth come out more. He looks more like a horse.
Poor Baba Booey.
Taking it on the chin. Yeah, but that's probably why they seized this guy, because they probably figured he was trying to It was theatrics or something.
That's what I'm thinking. Like he tried to make a.
Because why would you be standing up there with your hands in your pockets,
fiddling,
like looking like you're playing pocketball,
fiddling?
Right.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I want to find out. I would love to be able to. Hey, my pants is on fire. Ooh, it's hot here. My pants is on fire. Yeah. So I would think that it was more of a stunt. I mean, who carries several damaged e-batteries for your e-cigarettes? That's what,
Yeah, it certainly does sound like it was a staging.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of wacky staging.
Hey, like last week, do you guys have any issues with the woman strike? Did any of it affect you at all? How about you, Joe? No?
Absolutely no impact whatsoever.
Amazing. Except this lady here, she struck, and then when she went back to work, her boss
struck back,
and now she's looking for a job. Here, I'll get this one here. Actions have consequences. If you don't show up for work and play hooky, you'll get fired. It's the reality of living in the real world and having a real job in the private sector. And this liberal feminist Hillary supporter learns that when she ditches work for a woman's strike, you could end up getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
So the woman postponed. Sorry. I'm glad I'm doing this. The woman I know. The woman posted her complaint on Reddit because that's what happens. When you get up, when someone wrongs you.
You can't suck it up and accept the blame and the responsibility.
Well, the reason
you run to the internet.
Right. Well, the reason I put this up here was because she wants to be a victim now.
Right.
Well, listen to what she did. She wants to blame everyone except the person who deserves it, herself. This is the consequences of living in an Obama's America for 8 years where the rule of law and order wasn't respected. She needed that employer more than the employer needed her because this is like a coffee shop, right?
That's what she worked in, a coffee shop.
Yeah. She's replaceable. And now she's being replaced.
There isn't anybody that is not irreplaceable.
Right.
Unless in a rare case where you were like Bill Gates or, something like that, where you created the whole. But even now, he's got so many underlings, he's replaceable. Someday he's going to retire.
Right. So basically, she started an argument in front of customers. So first of all, you take the day off, right? I guess she was scheduled. She took the day off. Then she comes in and argues. And then she says, because her boss is a woman, she says, well, you're part of the problem. You're the reason why I had to go protest.
Mm-hmm.
So then she goes, well, guess what? Go find someone else to work for. And now she got fired.
Right. How do you like me now?
Right. The Woman March organizer and Sharia law supporter, Linda Sarsour, was also arrested for blocking traffic outside the Trump Tower in New York. The video of her arrest
is below,
but it's not. It is. I don't know. Again, like I said, I threw this together. I thought I went and vetted these articles. Sometimes when I do this, I vet them. They really didn't expect to be arrested for sitting in the street. If you're going to Trump Towers now, it's like going to the White House.
Yeah. Well, why would you? It's like insane.
It's considered the White House. Mm-hmm. It's like the New York White House. So if you spit on the sidewalk in front of Trump Towers, they're going to arrest you. At least I think.
Yeah, you got to watch your P's and Q's.
Yeah, you can't do that. They just nabbed a guy who jumped the fence at the White House and made it all the way in.
Yeah, right.
And they got him. He had a knapsack. They said he had a weapon. But they didn't say what weapon it was, what kind of weapon it was.
Well, it could be anything. Not necessarily a gun. It could be
a knife,
a baseball bat, a hammer.
Right, could be anything.
Anything could be a weapon.
Exactly.
Right. Well, did you see it? There was a girl who kind of accosted Sean Spicer in the iPod store.
Well, she just started asking him questions.
Right, but you just...
No, she's an
not
asshole.
a good idea to accost a White House staff person. And she said, well, I wasn't polite, but I don't think I deserve to be threatened. I said, well, wait a minute. First, because he said something that she perceived it as a threat, and then she started going off. I said, this woman's going to disappear.
Well, forget about... I just think that she should be able to... I mean, if you're in a store, if you're somewhere, and someone walks up and just starts being rude to you, I don't care who it is and what they're doing, you should be able to...
Kick their ass.
Kick their ass. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those...
that's what they want you to do.
Yeah, well, that's what they're trying for.
Because then they use it as a a fundraising.
Well, because
thing
then
or-
she becomes the victim.
The
But
victim.
it's the same.
Well, that's what she was vying for. She was trying to turn herself
right,
into
because
a,
she doesn't like, she doesn't like Trump, so she feels that she's it's her right that she can go out and just find, see somebody that's part of the Trump administration and start verbally abusing him or talking to him or asking him questions. I would have just said to the lady, guess what? Just shut up and get out of here. But you can't. He can't. He can't say anything.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's people don't realize like how the private sector works. Like, what are you striking? Like you said, what are you striking for?
Right.
And it's just like you just decided that like I'm not going to work.
I'm not going to work.
And this is a convenient excuse.
Right.
And probably a lot of employers out there because they're, in the climate that we have nowadays, they're just scared to like do the right thing and fire these people and get rid of them. Years ago, when Genghis and my uncle owned a restaurant, they were partners. And one of the waitresses came in and says, "Oh, I hope we're slow today because I really don't. I'm pretty tired. I hope we're slow today. I hope we're not busy because I'm kind of tired." Then my uncle said, "You're fired."
That's it.
I go,
That's it.
Oh, that's just, well, if that's your attitude, you're coming in here, then I don't need you.
Right.
And because if we do get busy, now that I know that that's your attitude, you're going to probably give people bad service. Now, of course, this was in the days of common sense, like in the 70s, where, and she left and that was it. We never heard anything. But I'll bet she never did that again at any other job. If she thought that, she probably never verbalized that thought. But
Yeah.
It sounds like this, a coffee server.
Right.
She has the whole, my noble cause
Right.
justifies me.
Not serving coffee on the day of
Skipping
women's
work.
strike. Yeah, I just feel that people, again,
and where does it end? Because now we've had, it's like, this is the second one.
one. Yeah.
So, I mean, now it's like every allegedly slighted group
We get
is going to have an international fill in the blank.
We get
day.
it, ladies. You feel slighted. But then whenever you say something to them, you go, okay, do me a favor. Please tell me what rights you don't have and tell me.
In this country.
Right. In this country. Tell me what rights you don't have, what rights have been taken away, and show me where you're not getting paid as much as a man. And you get. Because even the information that they're using to say that they get paid less.
No, the 77 cents on the dollar.
Like you said, it's
that's a very flawed argument to make.
Yeah, we
It's because-
covered it a few weeks ago.
right. It's because they take off from work for. It's not like. I mean, if you think that they go to McDonald's, you think McDonald's pay the girls any less than they pay the men?
No, they don't.
They don't.
No,
You think that in a union, you go to a union, you think that the union member, because they're female, get paid any less because of a man?
I actually have an answer to that.
Okay.
My father, when he worked at Camden County College, they were part of the maintenance staff, and they
Right.
had women on the staff. All right, they all got paid the same,
Right.
but the women were not permitted to get up on the ladder and change the fluorescent bulbs in the ceiling. Only the men were required.
But they
to do
got
that.
paid the same.
But they got paid the same. So then that raised, the men naturally got a little bit pissed off about that.
Right.
Rightly so, I may
I
add.
believe that too.
And then, so they made an argument, said, well, they have to put up the lights too. So guess what they did? They said, okay, well, now nobody has to put up the lights. They
So they're walking around
they created a staff just that put up lights, and they were all, I said, now what?
And that's why they're all
Because-
privatized now.
Right.
Exactly.
They broomed, after Genghis retired, they broomed them all out. And the place is filthy. I mean, my son's going there now. I see Earl. The only people they kept on was the security force.
Yeah.
They broomed out maintenance, broomed out landscapers, broomed out the janitors, and the secretaries, I guess they stayed. But they privatized the janitorial staff, the maintenance staff, and the landscapers.
Now they don't have to worry about anything.
And now the place doesn't look nowhere near as nice as it used to.
Well,
So-
I can understand that.
So they lost. They won the battle, but then they lost the war. They put themselves all out of work.
Well, it's because
Because of stuff like that.
Equal work for equal pay.
Stupid stuff like that, where you got to create a light bulb staff.
Right.
What
And again-
are bulbs exploding daily, and it has to be done? I mean, I don't know about you, but I may change 10 light bulbs in my entire house in 1 year. So it's like, I mean, light bulbs last pretty long,
The problem is,
and fluorescent bulbs last forever.
well, true, but I'm saying is the problem is you got to get up on an A-frame ladder, and you got to go, and those ceilings are 20 feet high.
10 feet.
Well, it depends on where. In the hallways, they'd be maybe 9 feet.
Right, so you got to get up there.
Depends on the room.
Right. So the women don't want to get up there because I'll tell you what, when you get up on a ladder like that, it gets scary.
Right.
You know, if you're messing around. If you're not, well, I'm just saying. I trust me, I've been on plenty of ladders.
Lots of ladders.
Been on lots of ladders. Mm-hmm. All right, so I know it gets
getting on an extension ladder on a windy day. I don't do that. No. That's just common sense. Like,
try getting on an extension ladder that spans a hoistway that's 300 feet down, and you got to go across get on the ladder, go across the hoistway, and then go out the other side. Mm-hmm. Try that one.
Right. Well,
so is there wind?
Right up your pant legs, baby.
No, that's like a chimney effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
telephone pole with spikes on a windy day.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that.
I didn't do it for long, but I didn't have to.
Yeah, your brother used to climb the towers.
Yeah, he was a tower dog.
Yeah.
He used to put, back when the cell phone companies were expanding at a rapid rate, and they would, he would climb anywhere from like 75 feet all the way up to 1,000 feet.
Yeah, you know the Conshohocken curve? Those
towers out there.
Those 5 red towers.
He has pictures of him, like he took pictures from up there. I was like, man, as we know, my little brother, he's he's insane. He just does shit like that.
I got to tell you,
those towers are up there too.
I see guys that go up there on them towers now, and
they're 900
and they get up there and they take those pictures. They'll take a picture or video from up there, showing everything. And I get woozy sitting in my chair watching it on my computer screen. There's just no way and again, I used to be in the elevator business, but some of those towers out there, the ones you're talking about, have elevators in them. Mm-hmm. So if you have to change a cable or something like that, you got to climb if it breaks down, you got to climb all the way up there and then work on it.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can get it to bring you down if you can.
There's 2 funny tower stories that Mike told us. The first one was Mike has, as we established, has a very short, no fuse whatsoever. He just goes off.
It's combustible.
So there was a salesman that came down. It was a freezing cold day, like a really, really cold winter day. And from what Michael tells us, like every 10 feet that you ascend, the temperature on average drops about 1 degree. So if you're going to climb up, say 200 feet, the temperature is going to drop anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees because, you got the wind and everything. So there was this big tower, and the salesman came over and he says, "Oh, that thing looks crooked up there." And they're looking at it, and they've got the azimuths and the tools. And I said, "No," he said, "I don't know, that doesn't look good." So they send Michael up there, and he's going up there. Well, as you're climbing up there, your nose starts to run. It's a defense mechanism of your body.
It's like, go back down.
Yeah, snot is pouring out of his head, and he's like, he's getting up there, and he says, "Yep, this is perfectly level." He's got the walkie-talkie. So the guy on the ground says, "Oh, it must have been an optical contusion," So Michael said, "What? You motherfucker." Next thing you know, Mike's coming down that tower. His coworkers, "Oh, you have to go." No, you don't understand. You have to go now because he's going to kill you. So Mike got down that tower like in record time. They had the guy had left. He had took. "Oh, really?" You can't stay here. Yeah, you got to go. The other one was when you probably saw it in the elevator business. If they had to go up a really, really high tower, they would winch themselves up with a motorized winch. And basically they would have like the body harness and the carbiners and everything. So what would happen is one guy would like get on the chain, and then maybe 6 feet below or 3 or 4 feet below that set, another guy would winch. So they would be kind of like facing each other. So they're getting winched up. Well, Michael was already on the tower. So like every station, there's like, there's like all this uproar, like guys laughing and catcalling and everything like that. So Michael is like, "What the hell's going on?" And he looks over. So the one guy that was getting winched up in this particular segment was on top. Well, he was wearing like short pants, but he wasn't wearing any underwear. So his cock and balls was hanging out. And the other guy that was immediately below him, like his head was like down around that area. So like every time he would get near a work platform, he would grab the guy's head and like push it into his crotch.
The guy starts
and the guy's like,
"Are you kidding me?" No. As they're getting hoisted up?
Yeah, as we're getting hoisted. Yeah, he would like that.
Because think about it, you're getting hoisted up, so everything's riding up, and like his junk fell out. So every time they got by a work platform, the guy would be like, swing.
Oh, you see, I'll tell you what. Well, for me, I didn't like any of that nonsense. Like anytime we had to get out there, on open steel or something like that, I was not happy at all.
Yeah.
So if anybody, I would have been like Mike. I would have killed him.
Yeah, well, he was probably like, he's probably like the crew bitch. You know what I mean? A guy.
Oh, he certainly was after that day. I dubbed the bitch.
The crew bitch.
I could see it now. Like nowadays, a guy comes down and then has a sexual harassment, calls HR, makes a complaint. Well, what did he do? Well, his shorts fell down. And he kept taking my head and thrusting it into his pelvic region. During the ascent. During the ascent. Yeah, during the ascent.
Should never work in a machine shop, especially back in the day, man.
Oh, Genghis, when he worked at Westinghouse.
Yeah, well, see, guys can do that.
Yeah.
Guys, again.
Yeah, right.
Genghis said you had to be careful because like he worked in a factory. It was over in Leicester, PA, and for Westinghouse. And I said, you'll be in the stall taking a shit. And the next thing you know, you see like a hand come under your stall with toilet paper with shit on it. And they'd wipe it on your boot, that.
I mean, this is, again, I understand.
One guy used to eat his lunch in the stall while he was taking his shit.
That. I've seen
that.
Oh,
man.
I don't know how. But I've seen it.
I wouldn't.
No, that's just like,
I've eaten a lot of places.
No,
that's not one.
That's not one.
But they're ball busters. I mean,
Yeah, women. Although I think women are a little bit more catty.
Yeah.
Well, they make it like a revenge thing.
Yeah.
Where guys, it's just good, clean fun.
Yeah, and they kind of get over it, or they step it up to the next level.
Women don't understand. When we watch the Three Stooges, one of the things we find so humorous about the Stooges is that's what it's like on a job. When they work together, that's what we're basically doing, but that's how we get through the day.
I've never had anybody take two fingers and poke me in the eyes before, but okay.
Well, you know what I mean? Just, it's just like, it's
wise guy, eh?
Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense on the job, and that's how you get through it.
One time, when I worked for Laura, me and Diane worked together at the time, and he was, we were playing practical jokes on
gay.
It
He's
just
not?
like, well, don't now take his name out. Okay, thanks a lot. That's why I don't even tell you things.
Nobody knows who. Well,
oh, come on now.
All right. Well, I just
edit that out. Edit his name out. So yeah, this guy was a fanook, but he had no sense of humor. And
should have seen his face when I said gay.
Yeah. Well, what the fuck? What the fuck?
I've only known this for 20-something years.
Yeah, well, and expect you to broadcast it out there and have some common sense, Nick. So,
all right.
So anyway, me and this other guy, we were like playing jokes back and forth, and he got the bright idea. We used to get the packing tape. We would pack up damaged cigarettes,
right?
And we taped his windshield wipers down to the car. Okay, and this one particular year, we were like in the middle of a drought. Like we went weeks without any rain,
right?
And we forgot about it, just so So like about 2 months later, he comes in and he's like furious at us.
Furious.
Like, yeah, you guys, look what you did. He says, I almost drove off the road. What are you talking about? Well, here it started to rain and he went to go turn on his windshield wipers and they were taped down to that glass so long, like basically that packing tape just fused itself like really, really strong.
Yeah, it just wouldn't
so
move.
all he saw was like, like the wiper blades didn't move at all. It burned the motor out because it was trying to and the water was like beating up on his like windshield so fast.
You mean the Fanook didn't figure out how to turn them off?
Well, yeah.
I guess some of them have to make a cycle before they go off.
Well, not only that, it's you're driving and it starts raining. You just expect your windshield wipers to work, and they're not moving. And, it was like a deluge came down. It was like finally, it was like a hot thunderstorm. It just like came and just like, it was funny as hell. Not the, him at the time.
Don't say his name again. I'm only taking it out once on my fault.
You only get one shot. So, then I blew silly string at him one time. Across like.
Is that a masturbation
that
thing?
String in the
actually the silly string. I got you.
Like during a meeting because he was like he threw something. I forget what he did. He threw something on me at a meeting or something. It was like whipped cream or something, and then I just bought
a lot of gay shit going on over this place.
Yeah, so
he shot me with whipped cream, and I got him with silly string.
And Herb didn't know what was going on. And when that silly string, well, he didn't see.
You two knock
he flung cake at me or something is what it was, and there was icing on it. And then the next meeting, I got him during the conference table, and I just had the silly. Do they even sell silly string anymore? I guess they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I just blew it all over him. Then I went.
I'm sure if you shoot it at somebody now, though, you get arrested.
It's an assault thing.
Yeah, it's a whole.
I blew it all over him.
So, it's all brightly colored, fluorescent.
It's like a clown had an orgasm.
I don't know if I should be upset or I just look fabulous in these colors.
Or titillated. So thick.
Oh, poor whatever his name was.
Yeah.
The Fanuc.
He left the company, thank Christ.
He left the company?
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine he did.
Well, no, but he was just a stiff. He's lazy. He was every year he would mysteriously come down with some kind of ailment so he could have the summer off. And the problem with that is they make Diane and all of her other coworkers, they carved up his territory. It's okay, you take these towns and you take these towns. So, as if Diane didn't have her own shit to do. Now she has to go do the Fanuc's work, And then what happens is she comes home, she's pissed off, and guess who gets the brunt of that? Jackass. That's who. So that's who gets the brunt of that.
Why do you have to break my balls?
Jackass always takes it up the ass.
So he finally he was working on going on a disabled list, and he finally got declared disabled. He's only a year older than me, maybe 2 years, and he's done.
He's done?
Oh, he's done. He's collecting disability now.
For what?
He's disabled. He can't work.
I got you. All right.
He's got angst and mental issues.
Oh, and a cock in his ass. I don't.
He may have that. That would give most people angst and mental issues.
Especially if it was all day.
I certainly wouldn't be a fan of it, I'm sure.
No.
All right, this next segment I have 4 stories here, and I just got to call it stupid news. And it's not because the news is stupid. It's just the people.
Is this hidden from me?
Well, the stories aren't, I don't think. But
go ahead.
All right, here we go. San Diego bank robber reveals identity by using ATM card during the heist.
Oh, I can see what it is. Alvin Lee Neal, another assassinator, three names, robbed the downtown San Diego bank, but before he did, he inserted his ATM debit card at the teller window, revealing his name and other personal information. Neal, 56,
you guys already know, right?
Was sentenced in San Diego federal court Tuesday to 3 years and 10 months in prison for the robbery. The U.S. Attorney's Office said he's lucky that's all he got.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because it used to be like mandatory 20 years.
Well, a lot of times what they do now is they don't bring a gun or anything. They just say that they have something.
Yeah, there's no
because gun. that way, if you have a gun, then it's automatic. It puts it automatic. But if bank tellers are now told just to give it, if you walk in and say, give it up.
Neal entered the Wells Fargo branch on First Ave on May 13th and approached the teller window. According to his plea agreement, he first swiped his card through the card reader at the window. When the teller asked how he could be helped, Neal explained, "You're being robbed. Don't make a mistake." He then handed the teller a note that had a similar statement. And you know what? I use Wells Fargo Bank, and that's exactly what they do, which I don't understand. I use 3 different banks.
Right.
Wells Fargo is the bank that I run the Empire with.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me a debit card. I never activated it. So every time I go in there to make a deposit or something, I say, just swipe your card. I don't use that. And they get the... And they roll their eyes and everything. They actually have to hand me a deposit slip that I will fill out. I do everything the old-fashioned way.
Of course you do.
Because there's always a paper trail. And not only that, I just don't trust things. Things go afoul, things crash. Why would I want to do that?
Well, see, that's one of the things about this podcast. This podcast would appeal to basically guys that are, in their 40s to 50s, 55, 60 or whatever. And the issue is that a lot of these guys won't use this technology. They, that a lot of the guys still have the flip phones.
Well, a lot of it is, for my case, sometimes you don't need technology to do everything. Like sometimes you just need a fly swatter. You don't need a nuclear fly swatter.
Right.
Like these, what's that? Siri, not Siri, the Amazon
Echo
thing.
and
the Echo.
Siri.
And even Hey Siri will do the same thing.
Well, no, they got like dim the lights. What's that, the Jimmy?
I went, hey, Siri.
Oh, and it turned on.
It turned on. I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not disturbing.
Siri's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, you see people like, oh, dim the lights.
I don't need you. Sorry.
Or turn up the heat. Like how lazy are people getting it? You can't, walk across the room and hit the thermostat. You can't turn on or turn off a light.
That's different. But I'll tell you what, as a guy who really embraces technology myself, I really, enjoy the fact that there's a lot of things that I don't have to do anymore. Like go to the bank. I never have to go to the bank. I don't deal in cash, and even if I had cash, I really wouldn't be taking it to the bank.
Deposit checks?
Nope, I don't have to.
Yeah, and I know you can take a picture of it.
Take a picture of it. Why would you? You take a picture of the front, take a picture of the back, and it's deposited.
Nah, I'd rather go there.
Of course you would, but I'm just saying.
Because if I go to the bank, see, you're not dealing with tenants like I am, and they can look into the account and say, this thing's probably going to bounce, and they can hold off on depositing it.
Will they do that? Are they allowed
Tellers
to do that?
will. Yeah.
They will?
Yeah, you can do that. I do it all the time.
Okay. But I'm just saying, I mean, who's you want to talk about anti-technology. The Jimmy is anti-technology. And once he found out you could just, instead of going to the bank, you just take a picture of the front of the check and the back of the check. Now he takes his big stubby fingers and he hits the app and he puts the check.
Well, that makes sense to me because Jimmy's probably dealing with far more checks than I am.
Sure.
I'm only dealing with 4 a month. That's it.
Well, see,
I'll be dealing with 7 a month in the future.
The issue is, and as I'm talking as far as the podcasting technology and people our age, is a lot of guys are like you. Why do I need to listen? Why am I going to listen to something on my phone? I can listen into my car, or I can listen. Again, they're perfectly true. Listen, you can listen to classic rock or sports talk your entire life. You never have to listen to a podcast. But the problem is that's our demographic. That they're in our wheelhouse. They're the guys we're trying to, they are the ones that would probably enjoy our show the most. Mm-hmm. Younger people, they don't understand what we're talking about. It's not the same.
They also don't know how to do anything. Like today on 3 is Comedy. Yeah, they were talking about like the millennials,
right,
and everything. Like they don't know how to change a tire.
That's true.
They don't know how to do anything.
But they do know how to use social media.
Right. Okay. Now that'll help you. I can call AAA.
Yeah, but they do that poorly. I mean,
in our situation as a podcast, as we're trying to get listeners, podcast has grown year over year over year. It's this year. I forget what the numbers are.
It's anything will.
Right. But where it's growing is in the age demographics is anywhere from 12 up to like 40.
Mm-hmm.
It's growing rapidly. In our age group, not so much because you have guys that just don't engage,
and we die.
Yeah. So what happens is sooner or later, as the millennials and the younger people get older, then that all that's going to swing. It's all going to come up, and then you'll have that technology. But we're dinosaurs.
But someday they'll be the dinosaurs too.
But they've grown up on the technology.
But there's something that takes its place. We grew up with cutting edge technology too. Most people, you just seem to be forgetting that.
A cassette tape for your answering machine,
as versus a 45 RPM record, as versus a ceramic disc.
Every generation,
you carry a supercomputer in your hand,
right? And 10 years from now, you won't be carrying it in your hand. It'll probably be implanted in you somewhere.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is
technology always marches on.
Every generation believes they are the most technically savvy. We're so smart.
Push button telephones were like the rage in the 60s when they came out. People couldn't believe, like, look at this. I don't have to go. I mean,
Then all of a sudden, my finger slipped out. God,
right. Yeah.
Had to put the thing down and start all over again.
Yeah. VCRs were remarkable when they came out. It's just like
I used to crack up when there's a bunch of my friends. They had a little network going because they had pagers. That was like
Sure.
Yeah, I just got paged by.
Try to find a pager now.
Yeah,
they still make them.
I know they make them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But, I think that doctors tend to have them because they may be like they were the last holdouts to using them because they could be somewhere like in a conference or something and it would just go off. It was very discreet. It would just vibrate. But now the phones do that too.
Phones vibrate now.
Well, yeah, now they do because smartphones came out. They were small.
You're proving my point.
Yeah, I would still rather not have it. I know you can't do it because you're a hostage to technology. But,
yes.
You just can't do it.
I'm a hostage to technology because I love being able to just.
But you can't. You cannot comfortably leave your home today, drive around in a car all day long without your phone. You can't do it.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Well, you're absolutely right. Why should I?
I'd love to be able to do that.
Oh, I do it quite often.
Well, first of all, it has everything that I listen. I don't listen to regular radio anymore. So I get into.
So it's a crutch.
Go in. I plug this in, and I put what podcast I want on.
So it's a crutch.
It's not a crutch. It's what I listen to.
It's a crutch. You can't.
How is that?
So
a
in other
crutch?
words, you can't get in your truck. Say it's a nice day.
Right.
I'm going to drive around and just listen to the radio.
No, why?
It's
Why do
a
I? Because it
crutch.
aggravates the shit out of me because it has 2 songs that I don't even know anymore.
So you don't have a CD
for
player?
That matter, for
a
that
CD
matter.
player?
You don't have a
What the
CD
hell?
player?
You know what? I also don't have an 8-track player.
You don't have that in your truck? There's no CD player in that ancient
I
truck?
don't have a CD.
Okay.
Well, for that matter, why even get in a truck? Why
I
don't
don't
you just
have
get on
a
a bicycle? If you're going to.
Have you seen me? Well, I got to get on a bicycle. That's a good one. If I got on a bicycle,
I mean him. He's got the Corvette.
Oh,
he
him.
goes out to driving a Corvette, right?
I thought you were talking about me.
Can you do that?
Could you see
Can
me
you
on
go
a
out
bicycle?
driving without the Corvette?
You'd have to
Yeah,
take.
I have an Impala. I do
No,
that.
I mean without a car. Okay, let's take
I don't have a bike.
You'd have to get that
Okay, well.
bike seat out of my ass with a pair of pliers.
Why would I want to do it in a bike where I like to drive my cars at is
You're-
50 miles away?
Yeah,
You're
but you're
proving
missing the
everything-
point.
the-
You're missing the point. The
Everything
point
I'm
is,
saying is you're exactly the
technology,
age.
you
The
know,
technology's out there right now where you can do all this other stuff, and you're like,
But you can't do without it. You're a hostage.
Why would I? Why would I try?
Because
I
you're a
enjoy
hostage.
it. I'm not a hostage.
'Cause
I enjoy
you,
it.
You need it.
I don't
You're
need
addicted
it.
to
I
it. Yes,
like
you are.
it.
You're addicted to it.
I might be addicted to it. So
It's
what?
an addiction.
It's so nice. Look at it right now. Look, my Ben Shapiro show just showed up. I've got all stuff that's going on Facebook. The Weather Channel just
So you
told
get
me
in trouble?
they're tracking Stella.
Can't look out the window?
Stella. What the hell?
How-
Oh, wait a minute.
That's the new hoax.
Listen.
They name winter storms now,
Oh,
which
for
is
Christ's sake,
bullshit.
they're naming winter storms.
It's been going on for the last few years.
What is this personification of everything?
Because the Weather Channel needs you to tune in. So they started. It's the only Weather Channel's the only one that does it.
Mhm.
It's like, oh,
They're the
winter
ones that
storms,
started it.
Stella. Who else uses it besides them?
Well, hurricanes were always named.
Hurricanes were always named, but they figured, oh, we'll start naming winter
Right.
storms.
It's for marketing.
Right. Exactly. We
A
don't
winter
need to do-
storm is not a hurricane. They're trying to treat it like a hurricane.
Exactly.
But we digress. I challenge you to go out all day without your phone. You can't do
I
it.
tell you no.
I
don't
enjoy
want
it.
to.
I enjoy it. I like, you know what?
You
It's a
go.
nice day.
You go. I hope
do.
you get out there. It's the damn thing. Something happens to your car and you can't get in. And you're sitting there trying to hitchhike, trying to figure
Yeah,
out
because no cop will ever pull over.
how long is it taking for a cop to drive by.
Quite often. We live in New Jersey.
Go ahead.
Maybe if you cruised around
No
the
one-
state,
hey,
you would
listen,
know.
This is America. No one's holding a gun to your head to
And no
take
one's
a phone with you.
And no one's holding a gun to me, a gun to my head to just get technology because John likes it.
You're-
So you know what your thing
You're
is?
proving exactly everything
Once-
I'm talking about.
No, because you know what your thing is?
He is.
No, I'm not.
I need
Because
some popcorn for this show.
because what you like, if no one does what you do, you hate them or you're against them.
That's not true.
You get on a soapbox like, why would yes, you do. It's like the time with Bad Cop, Bad Cop. We had this big thing because why don't they just do this and why? And I says because they do their show the way they want to do their show, and because someone doesn't do it the way you do it, you
Right.
get angry at people.
I get
You're
frustrated.
kind of a bully.
That's bullshit.
You're a technology bully.
I'm a
That's
techno.
it.
I'm a techno bully.
It absolutely is. Techno bully. It's like industrial music.
I am very good with technology, but I'd rather not have it, and that's why, And like I said, I won't.
Phones are a dog leash.
Here they are.
Industrial music.
No, I just like
That
I
was-
said. So what I'm trying to say here, since we've been arguing for how long now, is guys at our age
Not all
don't
of them.
use the not all of them, but a lot
Most
of them.
of them, yeah.
And they're fighting. You're like, I don't need this. I'd rather have a flip phone and all that. Okay, that's fine. The problem is our podcast is geared towards guys that don't want to use the technology that they can listen to it on. So it's an uphill battle.
Well, duh.
And here's the other thing: the guys that do want to use this are usually like businessmen, and they don't want to hear They don't want to hear three guys like making jokes and shit like that. They want to listen to a podcast to learn how to do something, to learn how to be a better
fuck people for money.
how to be a better entrepreneur, how to be
right.
more productive, how to be all that kind of stuff. They that's what
we don't have books for that.
they don't want to read a book. They're doing something else.
Because you don't want to read a book.
Well, I was reading.
I don't read.
When's the
books.
I know you don't.
I don't.
Speaking about books,
Go
okay,
ahead.
one of the big things about technology that's really, and a lot of writers and a lot of librarians, historians. See, books today, they're all electronic. There's no more printed books. The problem with that is a book can get edited instantly. Like a little while back, Obama put out some book and it was on Amazon and everything. Well, a bunch of political scientists, they were finding all kinds of fucking errors with this thing.
Okay.
So then,
well, not errors. A lot of it was like some of the stuff that he was putting in there,
well,
like when he ate dog.
Right. Yeah, a lot of that. So they were calling him out on that. Well, he would it would get all revised, all that, and they said, "Oh no, that was So now these people say, "Oh, well, these people who are making these claims, they just have a political axe to grind." I said, "Well,
so what you're saying is because they can get to it and edit it right away,
it's revisionism. It's like forward revisionism." And I said, "No, you're just editing." I said, "Well, you get it right the first time." I said, "One of the reasons we have books is because when you write them." And then we go down the road a little ways, and you see
and I see something, and I find something that I can use against you. I want to be able to use it against you.
No, not even that. Not even that. I mean, there's a lot of lost history that we find out later, like a lot of claims that were made during the time that it happened. But then people say, "Oh no, that never happened." And then we find out that it did happen because
I love books.
We get to find out that the entities responsible were, they were actually revisionists or whatever. Like if you look at American history, there's plenty of that shit going on.
Once again, because John don't like books, it's a waste of paper. See, you're a techno bully.
The problem I have with reading, okay, is that I have that ADD thing where I just can't.
Oh, that crutch again.
The crutch.
Yeah.
I think that's overdiagnosed too.
I'm just telling you that if I read something, it takes me several times to read it several times, it doesn't comprehend. But if I look at something or listen to something or watch somebody do something, I got it. Yeah. So it's certain ways that people can learn. If you can read a book and learn, that's great for you. It just doesn't work for me. I'm more visual and more audio. Mm-hmm. Reading just doesn't. I don't comprehend it. I know what it says. I just don't. It just doesn't sink in.
I'm the same way with comprehension. When I was in college, I found out the best way for me to take notes was to use analogies.
I didn't even take notes. I just sat there and listened to the guy.
I couldn't do that. If I just listened to the guy, I would never get
because
it.
Because while I'm writing notes, I'm missing. I'm not paying attention to what he's saying.
So you think you can only read a book to learn? You can't read a book for entertainment. You can't read a novel.
That's not entertaining to me. Yeah. I don't get anything out of it. I've read books before, a couple, not a lot. I just don't get anything out of it. Like, why would I continue to read if it's just
I'm the same
no
way.
big deal?
I am the same way.
I'd rather wait for the movie. It comes out visually, and I can see it.
Suppose they don't make a movie out of it. They don't make a movie out of everything.
Then I don't care about it.
Right. And that's why there's a learning gap. Not with you. I mean, a lot of the people now says, "Oh, I'll just wait for them." Well, or in school, I'll just read the Cliff Notes. Yeah, you get a lot out of that. And then they wonder why. Well, gee, I read the Cliff Notes and I got a C on my report, but I would get an A. So because I read the book,
you did the whole book, and somebody else
not upset at all.
Took a shortcut. Now all of a sudden,
that was the other thing about electronic media is that
now you got audio books.
Speaking about
power
a bully,
goes out in the house, you don't have nothing to read.
If I'm a techno bully, you're an analogical bully,
an analog bully,
an analog bully. Because if you want to stuff this other old technology down.
No, I don't go around telling people that
I didn't tell anybody anything either. I'm just saying.
I just pointed out you cannot comfortably walk around in public without a phone.
I agree with you. That
tells me you've got a problem.
It just tells me I like having a phone. I don't have a problem. There's no problem.
I would rather not have a phone.
So
I think it's a dog leash.
Okay, it's absolutely an electronic dog leash. Anybody can get you at any time, anywhere. Mm-hmm. Yep, they can. You can ignore them, but then they know you're ignoring them.
Right. That's exactly right.
Right. So, yeah, it's a dog leash. I'm not going to say it's not.
That's flashing. Your dog leash is flashing.
My dog leash is flashing. Airlines begin canceling flights. See, very important news.
Oh, really?
Well, I'm not flying anywhere, so why would I need to know that? That's
of course not.
Needless news for me.
Well, the sun's still out.
Like the TV don't work. Like the TV.
I don't understand. Yeah, I can watch TV right here.
Yeah, okay.
I can watch it right here.
But I don't need a phone to do that.
It's a TV.
Do I have a TV?
Do you ever remember Razzles? It's a candy. It's a gum.
Yeah.
That's what these are.
Only if
it's a radio. It's a TV. It plays music.
New Glimmer is a floor wax and a dessert topping.
Yes. It's got it all. But I don't want that. Why? Because I don't want it.
No,
Why?
I didn't say I didn't want it. It was just like you just says, oh.
I'd rather not have it. I'd rather have the old phone.
No.
Why?
Why?
I could do so much more with this. What's the big deal?
So in other words, like because I have a TV, I'm supposed to
need to
throw
go-
it out the window because I
need to
have
go-
a phone?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
You can use both. You can use both. It's everything. It does everything. So why would you not want it?
Does it make coffee? Contraire, therefore it does not do everything.
Now you're just being a jerk.
When they make coffee,
then you're just being a jerk.
Then I will embrace.
That is a jerk off statement if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, but it
does it make
flummoxed you.
coffee?
You flummoxed you. You should have seen the look on John's face.
The only reason I hesitated was I wasn't sure if I was going to call you a jerk off or not, and then I said, you know what? That's a jerk off statement, and it needs to be addressed as a jerk off statement. So I said, I'm going with it. It's the truth, though. And it sounds like we're arguing, but we're not real. This is just talking.
Like you said, it does everything. There.
I mean, as far as like it doesn't make coffee or food
or wash windows.
It does a lot more than a flip phone does.
Well, it's still not the sex robot you always wanted either.
Oh, if it was.
and I still, who's going to clean that? The cell phone?
Who cares? If it's smart enough, it should clean itself. All right, I'm done with you. Now go clean up. Yeah, I don't know.
Does it take itself to the car wash and get this big problem?
Getting flogged to death by those.
No, it just goes in the shower.
Okay.
And it doesn't short out.
Well, if they make it right, it shouldn't.
All right. Yeah.
See, again.
I don't know. I haven't made one yet.
Like Techno. Couldn't you just have a blow-up doll? You have to have a robot. See, that's overkill.
What's better?
But that's the point. It's like overkill. It's overkill.
To me,
I'm not going to sit there and tell you.
Just I think that both of them are creepy.
All right, hang on a second.
But wait a minute. For me,
I'm not going to tell you. Hang on a second. I'm not going to tell you that I know the difference between a blow-up doll and a sex robot. I have no idea.
Right.
But I would have But I'm going to take a gander that a sex blow-up doll can't hold a candle.
Well, they always look surprised.
They do always look surprised. What happened?
Oh, so that's what you can do. You can throw it on the bed and jump out of the closet and yell, surprise. Surprise!
You know what that look is for? That's like, oh no, here he comes.
Yeah, they all look like Mr. Bill. Oh, who's going to be mean to me?
Oh, okay, well, not that I would know about any of this stuff.
Okay, we're all going to put the disclaimer out here. We've never had sex with a blow-up doll. Go ahead.
Well, I haven't, but I have seen an ad for they're making, not inflatable dolls, but they're just like silicone dolls, and they're using porn stars. They're molded. They're using molds, and they're turning them into porn. So these things, and they look very.
Sure, they do.
Which is why I always say guys have real problems.
Yeah, but
you never see about women doing this stuff.
They use vibrators. What the hell's it?
No, I mean that they would actually go to right. That's the more common sense approach instead of like having an entire body molded from somebody that's actually exists.
I guess, but
they do have a thing out now. I saw it the other day. It looks like a flashlight.
A fleshlight?
Oh, really?
It's a fleshlight. Yeah,
fleshlight. Oh.
Now that you have to clean yourself.
That's like if you ever saw that The Great Outdoors, the woman who kind of gets off with the washing machine when it's in the spin cycle.
I haven't seen that, but okay, I'll have to check that out.
It's very common. Women do that a lot, and I mean I could see them doing it. It's like a natural rhythm to a washing machine.
That's a washing machine.
That's a washing machine right there.
There's some kind of rhythm to a washing machine that makes them want to, let me hump the washing machine. So, but
they're not really humping it; they're just riding it like.
They're just sitting there and
like a Harley down a dirt road.
They're letting the machine do all the work.
The machine.
But
industrial.
I can't believe more women don't ride motorcycles.
Yeah, for that reason they do. Yeah. Well,
that was just dumb luck. I happened to be on the alphabetized sound effect that had motorcycles.
Here's the thing. If your argument held water, why wouldn't you just ride a bike? Why do you need a car?
I did
that's
have
what I was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, why would you? Yeah, they'll both take you to a place.
Exactly.
But if you want to drive further, you only got X amount of time to do something, and you want to get out there further. That's a jerk off statement. Why not use a bike?
It's not a jerk. I'm just saying you're the one that's saying that you don't need this kind of stuff. Of course you don't need it, but you don't need a car.
You don't need
Yeah.
Oh, I assure you, I need a car.
Oh, there you go.
I assure you, I need a phone.
There it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the argument's over.
There we go.
So if no one needs a car, like everyone just turn their cars in.
No one wins. Well, see, this is what happens when
Hey, they want you to do that. Believe me.
when people start to argue with me about
Not Detroit.
when people start arguing with me about guns. Oh, they should take the guns away. If they took the guns away, there wouldn't be. I said, okay, let me just say this to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
You want to save lives? Take all the cars away. More people get killed by cars than guns.
You know what?
Than anything.
You know what more people get killed with than anything else?
What?
Hands and fists. So what do we got? We all have to like chop off
That's
our
it.
hands and fists, and that's
we
it.
all have to wear boxing gloves
That's
now
it.
from now on.
I had to argue with Angry Dave one time at work.
Angry Dave.
Oh yeah, he's a good guy. He's not really
Just angry.
Just angry.
But he said, "Why do you need?" Okay, because he's pretty much.
Do I have to cut Angry Dave's name out of this now?
No. He knows
Okay.
who he is. But he's
The other guy is very much in the closet.
okay
That's
with-
why you have to cut that out.
Okay, just saying.
He's okay with guns, gun ownership, and everything. He just doesn't understand why does a magazine have
He's
to
in a
hold
closet.
right. I said, well, why do you need a magazine that holds 30 bullets? I said, you got a wife? Yeah. Why does she need 20 pairs of shoes? He couldn't answer.
I hear you.
Why does a woman need 20 pairs of shoes? Well,
Because
see,
they're pretty.
No. If we're going to argue about quantity here, I said, why? I said, you really only need 5 different pairs of shoes for every situation in your life.
That's two more than I think you need.
I tell my kids.
if you're a guy.
This is what I tell my children.
Yeah.
And the Jimmy. There are wants and needs, okay? Needs are water, food, shelter, clothing.
And bullets.
That's it's not even, it's a want. All right, that's the needs, okay?
You have a bear coming after your ass, you'll disagree
I
with me.
understand what you're saying, but if you got a shelter, you can get away from the bear. Okay, so here's the thing. Anything else is a need, a want. Damn it, I can't get it straight. Anything else is a want, I like my phone. Here's the thing. I love the fact I'm so much smarter with this phone. So much smarter with this
So
phone.
when the zombie apocalypse comes, you're pretty well fucked.
I told you that. I told you that last week.
Even if you were a track runner.
It doesn't matter. I would just run into him. It was funny. I was on my phone.
Every story starts off, I was on my phone.
I was on my phone. I was on Facebook. I was on Facebook on my phone. And they have a game that you can play now. It's where you shoot the zombies. Mm-hmm. And they just keep coming and coming. And it's like, there's just not enough. There's not enough bullets to kill them.
Exactly.
All. Right. So what's the sense? You just might as well go towards them.
That's it.
Sorry.
Anyhow.
Poker chips are flying.
Have to cough.
Yeah. So do what you want to do. That's what I'm trying to say. How the hell do we even get it? Oh, it was the guy robbing a bank and put his.
Yeah. Man, we did a big circle. We went.
Well, you interrupted me because I said, the bank, for some reason, Wells Fargo insists they want you to go in there and lead off every transaction with the debit card.
I hear you.
And then I said, well, just give me a deposit slip. And the one,
and it reminded me of how it's very hard to grow the audience on this podcast because the guys.
Well, no, because my point was the millennial that was waiting on me was stymied because
she didn't know what to do.
Yeah, she was stuck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she had no idea that.
Yeah, it's
she couldn't go analog.
They can't even make change.
You're stuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
You were stuck.
Yeah, because now she had to actually give me the form, the deposit slip. I filled it out, and she would have to go onto her little computer and type in the account number and type in the amount and print off her receipt. And I was like, well, what are they paying you for? And I'm only 52. I mean, there's people in there that are like, there's people in there that are all ages going to banks.
Right.
You have people that well into their 80s and 90s, they don't have this stuff.
Right.
So just because young people have it, like we all have to succumb, just.
You don't have to do a damn thing.
Right.
I'm just saying, you don't have to do a damn thing.
I buy stamps, and guess what?
Oh, I was trying to tell you this.
I mean, it's a retail. My point was it was a retail establishment. I'm patronizing it. I'm the customer. They're supposed to be making it pleasurable for me. They're not supposed to be making it easier for them. That was the point.
I got you. I'm sitting here with Mixler, and we actually have somebody who was listening. I just wanted to double check to see if anybody said anything. And Mixler, we actually have somebody who was listening. I just wanted to double check to see if anybody said anything.
That's very disconcerting.
Yes, it is.
I got to figure out how to make Mixler where I can look at it and not have it feedback. I'd have to turn it down.
Probably have to have it on a separate device.
Well, I'd have to turn this down, but if I turn the channel that's on down, then I can't use any sound effects that's on the computer, from the web browser.
I see.
So, little backstory there. All right, we've argued for an hour and 39 minutes now.
Let's do more.
I don't think it was a straight hour and 39.
No, it was not. Of course, it was not.
Shoutouts?
Yeah, well, let's do some shout-outs.
Okay.
I've had enough. We'll save some of these stories for the last time.
For the next time.
Last time.
John's continuing struggle with
Wow.
the English language.
I can't do two things at one time.
55 years old. He'll get it.
Can't do two things at one time. Not a very good multitasker.
It's kind of
Say
an
that right
ominous statement for the last time.
now. The last time. Damn it.
Okay. If you enjoy listening to this podcast, hearing people bicker and argue, well, here's somewhere you don't hear that so much. 3 is comedy with Jason, Bob, and
Did
Mindy.
you hear it today? They were bickering and arguing today.
Yeah, but
And
they
the
do it
last couple
with
weeks.
love.
What are you saying? I'm not mad.
There's animus when you and I bicker and
I
argue.
was not mad at all. That's how we do things.
Mm-hmm. That's how we roll.
Right.
3 is comedy.
Right. Bad cop, bad cop.
Bold and belligerent.
Now they argue. Those guys.
Yeah.
They do argue. Now that I'm older,
Toe on the trigger.
they argue.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm older, Kenny and Shane, they argue all the time. Toe on the trigger, not so much. You know, it's funny with Toe on the trigger. Now he's having like a new co-host every week.
Yeah.
So
The
and that's
guest host du jour.
right. And next week, if you're listening to this when it comes out, next week Lauren from the Bold and Belligerent podcast will be his
Cool.
co-host. So that's going to be pretty cool. Ice in the Face. Now they haven't put a show out in a while. I was wondering what was going on with Ice in the Face.
Maybe they're on hiatus.
I don't know. I'm going to tell you. I like Sarah. She cracks me up.
Well,
She
if you
gets
go
off
on
the-
vacation, I guess that could be why. Like maybe someone went away. Like if I go on vacation,
yeah,
we'll
I
have to
don't know.
like.
I'm just, you realize, and that's another thing I know about, like when you don't put a podcast out, you miss it.
Yeah, you get used to
You
it.
get used to it. You miss it. You're like, oh, what happened?
Mhm.
So, that happens. The story behind with Emily.
Mm-hmm.
That's a quick listen. That's not comedy, but
Yeah,
it's,
she's doing good luck and superstitions and
yeah. I sent
this-
on the Twitter. I went against my Monday morning Twitter thing, but I listened to the show and she was talking about superstitions. And when I play poker, there's a lot of luck in poker. Well, not a lot of luck, but there's luck in poker. So what I do is I always feel like I have bad luck when I play. So like, say we get all our chips in, and my opponent needs like an ace. What I do is I root for that guy's ace. So I take my bad luck and I project it onto him. Give him an ace. Give him an ace. And he doesn't get the ace. Now, if I was saying no ace,
Yeah.
the ace would immediately come up. So what I do is I take my bad luck and I heave it. I heave it onto him. And it works. Sometimes. Sometimes not so much. But I do realize I've found out when I
that's your poker crutch.
yeah, when I half-ass root because I really don't want it to come, it does come. But when I really, really root for it, it doesn't come. Just saying. So anyhow, she's doing luck this month, or the month of March.
WTF of Success. That's Jason's other podcast.
Yep. And then the Unwritable Rant
A Couple Things podcast.
and Netflix and Swill. And then since we gave them a little, and since we talked about the podcast, what are these podcasts? Who are these podcasts?
The Potter Family, John.
Damn it. I did it again. You wonder why I need a phone. I have no stinking memory.
Remembering.
I have no remembering.
That's his brain right there.
Who are these podcasts? It's a podcast where they go and they pick a podcast and then they just, usually they pick a bad podcast
Mhm.
and then they just like shred it. I've never seen, I haven't listened to every episode, but the episodes I've listened to so far,
How many do they have? Quite a lot.
I think it's in the 30s.
Okay, that's quite a few.
Yeah. Or maybe in the 40s. I don't know. Again, I don't know enough to know enough.
Mhm.
But they do a pretty good job. It's funny because the one guy seems to have like a soundboard, and then the other guy, like what they do is they both listen to the show and they don't talk about it. So they both listen to the show and then they come in and then they start talking about it. So the guy must load clips and then send the clips to the other guy. So he's like, and as he's talking, he goes, okay, play clip 16. And then the guy plays it. I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just get your own damn soundboard, play your own damn clips
Makes sense.
like you do?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Seize the initiative.
Right. There you go.
Seize the fish.
But listen, if we didn't
Carpe
have
diem.
technology, we wouldn't be sitting here right now arguing because there would be no sense to it because we wouldn't have the technology to podcast like we do.
We would go unheard forever.
We would go unheard. This, nobody would hear except some waitress trying to get a tip.
Well, they would get a tip if it was up to us. If Dickhead Bob was there, then we would have to fight with him over the tip.
Or Wave. Wave would take the tip money.
Yeah.
No, he'd tell you he put in, but
He'd tell you, no.
the mathematics would prove otherwise.
He would all throw money in, and then you say with the tip and everything, and he said, oh, I don't have a credit card. So what he would do is he would take all the tip money out and then pay for the...
I don't need to tell you who else did something similar to that.
Herb?
Oh, he's a cheap son of a bitch.
I hope he's on fire somewhere.
I always hope that he's on fire. So. Yeah, he did that. He used to do all kinds of shenanigans like that. You know where Summers Point is?
Sure do.
Okay.
It's in New Jersey. It's a shore town in New Jersey.
Shore Town community. Okay, you got Circle Liquor that was right there on the circle. Well, the circle's gone now, but next door to that was the Crab Trap, and next door to that was the Pier 4 Hotel. That's where we would stay when we would go on crew work. So we went. This was after the aforementioned 4 Pizza Burger incident. So whenever we ate with Herb, I always had to be on like, how is he going to cheat me out of my money now? So we all had to do that. So we went to the Crab Trap, and we all order our food and everything. And so now the check comes, and it's an expensive restaurant. So I know I'm putting in the whole $14, and then some. So now the check comes, and he says, I'll tell you what, everyone put in this much money, like whatever it came to, and I'll put it on my credit card, that way I can get airport miles and everything, and, airplane mileage. And so I'm like, well, this seems to be on the up and up. I says, I guess this is okay. I can't see the potential for a screwing here. So we all put our money in and everything. So this is like Monday night. So Friday morning, we're all in the club room and we're checking out, and we all have our expense reports there. And the way it worked then is he would reimburse us by the company by writing us a travel draft for the hotel stay and everything and our meal allowance. So I'm sitting there at the little club table with him, and he's got all the expense accounts, and there, sitting on his expense account, he stapled the receipt to the Crab Trap from dinner Monday night. The son of a bitch wrote it off to the company and wrote it off as a meal expense. Really? So
he took all your money.
So to recap, what this prick did was he took money from all of us there at the table. He put it on his credit card, allegedly to get airplane mileage. So I guess he did that. And then he turned the receipt in for like $200 and some dollars.
He got reimbursed for that.
He got reimbursed by the company for it.
What a dickhead.
That is a scumbag.
That's lower than whale shit. Yeah, it's just and that's why dude, I got 7 years of stories like that. It's like, and then he saw that I saw the receipt, and he was like, he started clearing his throat. He started like shuffling the papers, and he buried his expense account on the bottom.
You don't see what you think you see.
Forget this big garishly colored seafood expense for the Crab Trap. Yeah.
What a dick.
Nothing to see. Nothing to see.
Yeah, we'd be working together like. During the day, let's go to lunch. And he was king of the diners. Let's go to that, that real good diner over there on Route 130.
The one with the rolls.
So we go in there, and he gets the chef salad. I get a grilled cheese. And at that time, a grilled cheese might have been $1.50. And it's costing me $8 because he got the chef salad. It's like the episode of Seinfeld, but it's a big salad.
No, why does she need the big salad? I'm not getting the big salad.
So, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. So I would just get water when I would eat lunch. Well, I'm just drinking water. I'm not really hungry. Water? Then he strangely changed his order from the chef salad to like, a poppy seed bagel with some cream cheese and coffee.
And then when you get done when he says that, you should say, I'll have the same thing.
Ditto.
Yeah. You know what? I changed my mind. I'll have a poppy seed bagel.
He wanted me to steal that lawn furniture.
I could have got the garden salad.
Yeah,
I had a big
salad.
blow up over the splitting of the check thing so that it comes out. So there's a place in Sea Isle City, and they're known for their breakfast. It's like and this is back in the early '90s.
Was that the Shore Diner?
The Shore, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's not.
No, that's in Summers Point.
It
doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. But
okay,
my friend invited me down, to the shore house that he was renting with a bunch of other people. Now a lot of these people were professionals from Northeast Philly. They kind of look askance at us Jersey people.
Sure.
And they're very cliquey. So, but he invited me down. So the first, and naturally I show up. I don't show up empty-handed. I had a couple cases of beer. I bought soda and all that, But despite that, they're very you try to get in on a conversation, you kind of get walled off, Well, anyway, we go to this diner or breakfast place. I wouldn't call it a diner, but they had plates of breakfast for like $18 a plate. And this is back in 1992, right?
Okay. That's one hell of a breakfast.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it was a big, impressive plate. There's
like
a whole
feast.
group of it, So it was me and the friend who invited me down. He went off with some girl. So it was me and another friend of his. We were kind of like the outliers of the group. We end up going to breakfast with these people. So we're sitting at the table, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know shit from Shinola with these people. I just knew we were like, hey, you guys sit on the end of the table over there. And we get breakfast and all that. I was hungover because I was up drinking and partying the night before. You bring me down to the shore, I'm going the fuck out. That was Ocean Drive. I'm boozing it up, dancing,
Dancing? So that's why I'm out there.
That's why I'm out there. So I'm hungover, so I didn't want to have a big breakfast. I had toast and tea.
Mm-hmm.
Mine comes up to $3.50. Okay. This guy, Christoph, he's a...
Christoph?
Yes. He's
a guy from Philly named Christoph?
He's a Polish guy. He lived in the Eastern Bloc during communism. He works with my friend.
Okay.
And he has stories about the, But anyway, mine comes up to $3.50. So we're getting ready to leave. The check comes. I throw a $5 down. In fact, I threw $6 down. So it's $3.50 plus the tip. I get up. I go walking out. Come outside. Stretch. Nice, beautiful sun. I'm getting ready. Maybe I'll hit the beach or something like that. I look over my shoulder and I see one of the wives looking out the window at me with this angry look on her face.
Mm-hmm.
And she suddenly turns around and scurries off. And I'm like, okay, what was that about? And suddenly one of the douchebag husbands comes along. Okay, guys, come on. What are you trying to pull here? I'm like, what? What's wrong? He says, "God, come on, you guys are skimping. You owe us." I said, "Skimping on what?" He said, "Oh, we split the check." I said, "Well, that's news to me." I said, "Oh, no, that's the house rules. You get invited to the shore house, you got to go by the rules." Right? Now, my friend never told me about this. So I'm like, all right, well, what's it come up to? It's $11 each. I said, "Oh, that's real nice." These jerk-offs, they knew what they were doing. They all got the top plate, and so a guy like me get to float the bill for him. So I had to pay $11 for toast and tea. I'm not happy about that.
I would imagine you're not happy.
I'm not happy, Bob.
So now, I'm not happy, Bob. So then...
why are you not happy?
Now, what these people don't know is that I can eat a tremendous amount of food.
Mm-hmm.
It's genetic.
As long as it's not...
We both can.
Oh, yeah.
As steak and beer is a big... No, this was before you could still eat steak and beer.
Oh, yeah. This was back in the day. They said, well, we're going to go out to get seafood tonight at Maribella's. It was supposed to be the big deal in Sea Isle City, big seafood restaurant. I said, oh, really? Okay. I'm ready. I'm like cracking my knuckles. All righty. We get out there. Okay. My brain is going, okay, jerk-offs, get ready. Here it comes.
Let the eating begin.
Yeah. My bill by itself came up to $67.
Oh, my God.
I had lobster. I had 3 plates.
Yeah, that's not hard to do in a resort town.
That's true.
But I had a tremendous amount of food.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could eat a lot of food. And I'm eating so much that the wives are all looking at me, and you could see they got,
He's got butter.
Now,
running down his arm.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Sweat and butter.
Oh, I was thinking.
Pouring out of his pores.
I had plates. I was moving everybody else's shit.
I wonder why he's got gout. But go ahead.
Yeah, why is my foot hurt? So now my friend is with us for this one. He goes, yeah, why are you eating so much? Oh, you'll see, right? So then the check comes, and there's always one wife that when the check comes, she's right on it. And it was the same woman. She grabs it. She's looking at it. So now I'm like glaring right at her as she's reading the check. And I could see her every now and then, her eyes like flitter upward at me and then look back at the check and then look at me again. And, I said, I'm just looking at her like, okay, come on, let's hear it. He goes, you know what? Maybe we should each pay for our own this time around. I said, oh, no. house rules. This is how we do it. And now there's like a big awkward side. Yes, and now I'm making my scene. This is how we do it. I was told it was heads. This morning it was heads. Now my friend's looking at me like, what the fuck's the matter with you? And because he didn't know what happened to me this morning.
Did you ever go back to the Shore House again?
Well, not with those people.
I did. He invited me down, but I didn't,
Okay.
I had the glorious honor of not having to associate with anybody except for whomever I choose.
Okay, so what happened? What happened with the bill?
Well, we had to split the check.
And how much did you have to pay for $65?
I got a $67 dinner for only $38.
It's half price.
There you go.
And that was my first education in liberal economics.
There you go.
That's how you do it. Make somebody else pay for your meal.
That's hysterical.
Game on.
Yeah. Again, I understand. It's funny when you do stuff like that because that's really the kind of way to get back at them. When you beat them down with their own logic,
Yeah.
that's the best part.
Well, that's the thing that
There's
got
nothing
me.
like stick. Go ahead.
She wanted to jump out of the, I write the rules, but now I need to jump out of it.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This isn't an advantage for me.
Somehow this hurts me.
This hurts me. Now we're going to make a new rule.
Can't have that. Yeah, there's all chapters, sub-clauses.
And let me tell you, if I had a gout attack as a result of that dinner, it would have been worth it. Just to see the look on their
big
faces.
get even.
All right. Well, sounds like that's enough for us for one day.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you can't say when you come to the Brand X podcast, you don't get a full course meal.
Yeah, we give it to you.
Soup to nuts.
Soup to nuts. All right. Next week, we'll be back. We'll talk to you all about Snowmageddon and what happens and what didn't happen.
You want to put a bet down on what we get?
Yeah, let's do that. Now we can do that right here. Okay, let's set the snow inches.
Now, for this area right now, they're calling for 8 inches to 12
Okay.
because they got it all bracketed off.
So what do you think a good over-under number is?
I'm going to say we get less than 6.
So, all right, so let's set the over-under at 6.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going over. You're going under. What do you say, Joe?
I'm going to say about 6.
About 6. I hope. You can't do that. What, do you want to push? You got to go over or under.
6.
All
No,
right.
all right. 6.5.
All right, he's taking.
6.5.
Joe's taking the over.
Yeah.
All right, so Joe and I are taking the over.
I'm taking the under.
Deuce is taking
Now,
the under.
here's what we got to do because it's such a wide geographic area. Because everything's measured out of Philadelphia generally.
Right.
And then they'll have a measurement for Cherry Hill, a measurement for Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we want to take that measurement from?
Let's just go from the center city, Philadelphia. Is that okay?
The airport. They always do it
Oh,
from
let's
the
do
airport.
the airport.
Okay.
Or do you want to just do Jersey? See,
I would say we would stick to Jersey.
Okay, where we're at in Jersey, Cherry Hill or
Cherry Hill usually always
Cherry
seems
Hill.
to be a focal point.
Okay, let's do Cherry Hill.
Okay.
All right, because
Just-
I think where you work is not going to be as bad because I think you're going to be on that snow line. So where you might not get
That's what I'm saying.
much snow where you're working,
Christ, I hope so. I don't want to sleep there.
but getting home, you're going to be driving into a lot of snow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll be back next week with We'll let you know what's going on with the Snowmageddon and more stories. We didn't get to all the crazy stories. What was I calling it earlier today? I know it's terrible.
See, I'm not helping them.
No.
I can't remember what it was.
Hey,
The 4 stupid stories.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Stupid stories. That's it.
all I know is we're soup to nuts, snow to sex robots. We do it all here.
Do it all here.
Well,
For the love of God.
you all have a good night
Or wherever
or
you're.
good morning.
Yeah,
I mean, you
whenever
could be
you're-
listening to it first thing in the morning.
Have a good random time of the day.
Yes.
So,
The
all
mid, late, early morning.
right, you go. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
That's it. We're just getting into it.